What's up? Thoughts on the way to church? What does it mean to identify with Jesus? Now, if you read the words of Jesus, you realize to identify with Jesus means you don't identify with the world. 1 John 2, John says, "Do not love the world or anything in the world. If you love those things, the love of the Father is not in you." So to love Jesus and to identify with him means that you don't love the world. You don't pursue the world. But then there's this scripture that I'm about to read to you in Hebrews chapter 13, verse 12. It says, "So Jesus also suffered outside the gate in order to sanctify the people through his own blood." Meaning Jesus went outside the gate. The previous scriptures are talking about the scapegoat sin offering that was burnt outside the gate, Leviticus 16, Leviticus 4. And so the writer of Hebrews is saying Jesus is like that scapegoat, and he went outside the gate. He went outside the city. He went outside and he was crucified to sanctify the people through his blood. Verse 13, "Therefore, let us go to him outside the camp and bear the reproach he endured." Holy cow. The invitation of the gospel to identify with Jesus is to go where Jesus is at. And if the world looks at that and brings reproach on you, then who cares? Because you're with Jesus, and his presence and his life is more vital and more essential than the oxygen that we breathe. And this is why the ancients lived this way. This is why people who are radical for Jesus today in the present time live this way for the next verse. "For here we have no lasting city, but we seek the city that is to come." Literally, we live to be with Jesus in eternity, in his presence, with him. And when we have an understanding and a vision that this life here doesn't hold any value, comparatively speaking, to the next life, then we live for him. Then we go to where he's at. And if that means that there's going to be prejudice or persecution or whatever that means, but we're identifying with Jesus, then so be it. Now, this doesn't mean that we bring it on ourselves, that we're just jerks to everybody. No, it means that we have the love of Christ and the presence of the Lord who's with us. And in the presence of the Lord, that's who the world will reject. And if they reject the presence of the Lord within us, then so be it. Therefore, let us go outside the camp to be with Jesus and to bear that reproach if need be. Jesus is King.